everyone, this is Shreya Dhake and I am a 16-year-old teenager who's constantly dealing among cos theta and magnetism as being a 10th grader. Now, in the following few minutes, you are going to face and explore some important facets of the education system. And I'm sure you'll take home some real and good ideas and a different perspective about why should we value aspirations more than grades. I would like to start off easy with something whole India is so crazy about, cricket. And cricket is just a huge thing in India. Our population is like 1.4 billion, and out of that 1.4 billion, 1.1 billion people watch sports. And now, out of that watching sports community, 65% people watch cricket. I clearly remember that the last edition of our TEDx, it was the World Cup final, India versus Australia. And there was such huge rage about it. At the backstage, we were all just, checking on the scores. Oh, they hit a wicket, they hit a six, and whatnot. Now, I think that the hype about cricket in India is because of two primary reasons. One, either because people love the sport, or because people love the cricketers. And I'm sure that major audience follows these cricketers on social media. Once I was watching this Virat Kohli interview wherein he was telling how he poorly performed at maths and how he was just nearly passing his board examinations. Now, did that make him a failure? Absolutely no. Then why do we expect grades to determine how we do in our future? You all might have heard this particular line that a child's mind develops most by the age of 5. We often hear them saying like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, or no mama, I want to be a teacher, or I can be a doctor. Now, what do we do when the child enters grade 1? Why do we just hand over a test paper to that child, and why are we limiting the aspirations of that child to some extent? And the story completely changes when that child enters grade 10. He's asked to concise all his aspirations into a 3-hour examination wherein he's expected to get straight A's, and there's no escape. To provide more articulateness, I would like to share a narrative from my end. Yeah, so it all started when I was in grade 7. We had this particular maths test wherein I was almost always one of the top 3 students in my class, scoring good grades, good in all, but this time the tables turned. I was almost failing in that test with scoring 9 out of 25. Oh, what an ultimate shock moment for me. And to compensate my loss, what I did was just rigorously practicing maths until I scored a perfect 80 on 80 the next year. Now, when I reflect on that incident happened 3 years ago, I ask myself and I wonder if grades were everything that I had to achieve. Let's take a pause at this question and let's take in a perspective. If you judge yourselves by the way others perceive you, stop it. Because what really matters is your inner perception about yourself. Connecting these dots to my topic, what I believe is stop limiting other factors from breaking the limits of your aspirations. The problem I see over is not grades, but underestimating the potential of a child by just looking at their grades. And that's where we come to decode the topic, breaking limit of our aspirations, life more than grades. Now, we all are limited by abilities and not by our vision. And intellectual limits should not really exist in our education system. Do you wonder why some kids are so great at scoring grades while some are not? It may not be because either one has understood the concept better, but it can be because either one knows to memorize and write better. If we can't shape different types of soils into ceramics, how can we shape different types of minds into the mold of single sheet evaluation system and expect the same results? Now, here, as I mentioned in the what if situation earlier, grades do not prepare you for the skills that you need in your work life. In this world of 8 billion people, how many people do you know? Hardly a few. And how many do you significantly remember? Few or less number. Maybe those who are successful and eminent personalities. But if I ask you, have you ever checked their educational qualification, or have you most importantly checked their grades from high school? I may hear the answer no. If grades are just so indistinctive, then why are we relating them to aspirations? We all feel pity on animals who are caged up in the zoo, but we may not realize how we cage up the aspirations of these learners while asking them to memorize and not learn, while asking them to write word-to-word scientific definitions and not the clarity behind it. We may tend to forget that the relevance of character and skills always surpasses the good old judging system of grades. If you want to access good grades, they may help you to ace your entrance exam to colleges, but it may not necessarily help you to save somebody's life as a doctor, or to not getting you into loss when the stock market is down. Now, I know so many people who say that they forget everything the moment they enter the examination hall, and that's the colossal pressure of scoring good grades, which not shouldn't be there. However, we feel that grades are just about the academic validation. This is the criterion set by education system and really not by us. Fundamentals of education should not only be grades, because if everybody runs in the race of scoring good grades, who is going to become more athlete, businessmen, speaker, actors, and a lot more? I am certainly not opposed to the grading system, but what I feel is they just represent how well you have memorized the text and not how well you have comprehended something. Now I am in grade 10 and I hear so many people saying that, oh, you're in grade 10. Why do you engage into non-academic opportunities? Don't you have your boards in 1 month? And aren't you ruining your grades? I always respond with denial, because I have always been that enthusiastic kid who was ever ready to participate in all the activities that were conducted at school. I mean, I can't imagine my life just working for good grades and not having the freedom to know more, and just shrinking my whole life into those academic books. I mean, it would have been so boring for me. Chuck Grassley has efficiently said that what makes a child gifted and talented may not be good grades at school, but it may be a different way of looking at the world and learning. Along with skills, how you are as a person really matters. Your vision matters. I see that the education system lags behind in teaching the students basic fundamental problems that can occur in life. They may not provide a solution to that. I see so many students bagging 100 on 100 and they do not know how to do basic survival things. I mean, if you are stuck in that fires at LA and you want to open that fire extinguisher and you can't, the grades are not going to help you there. Predicting how you will do in your life by just looking at your grades is just a pure way of predicting your day by looking at the horoscope of that day. Maybe true, maybe not. Now, there's a basic child psychology wherein if the more we deny the child to do something, the more they are stubborn, the more they are interested to do that thing. But I ask, why do we deny them to aspire? I mean, if people would not have aspired, we would have got no light bulbs, no quantum theories, because from Edison to Einstein, all were bad at school. If just grades, this 6-letter word, could determine how you can do in your life, then these great people could not have imprinted their names forever in our history. I mean, to be honest, if people would not have aspired, you see all those spotlights, they would not have been on me because light bulbs would not just exist. From almost failing my maths test to realizing the worth of aspiring beyond horizon, that was all in all I had to share as a part of my story. But as a part of the youth, what I would like to convey is what makes a difference is daring to aspire, daring to not let your weaknesses withstand your strengths. And perhaps it's just better to stand out of the box rather than squeezing all your aspirations to fit and fix in that box of general criterions. To sum it all up, any A's or B's and a score of 9.8 can't just justify how well you may do in your lives. And let's just keep those numbers to calculations and alphabets to algebra and literature, not to decide someone's potential by looking at their grades. Thank you.